If you are starting to think about the PSAT and how to prepare for it, you have come to the right place. At CollegeFind, we've made test prep a key part of our business, and it's our job to know all of the best study and strategy tips. In today's video, we're going to walk you through how and why you should prepare for the PSAT. Whether you're an underclassman just starting to think ahead or a high school junior starting to panic about the test, don't worry. Either way, we've got you covered. The first question you might have about the SAT is, why should I take it at all? Why should I add this exam to my already busy schedule? Well, we get it. The PSAT isn't required for college admissions, and it might seem like a lot of hassle if it's not required. That said, the PSAT is at least good exposure to standardized tests, and it's important practice for the SAT. At most, it could also be your gateway to some impressive scholarships and formal recognition, which would help your college applications. So allow us to explain. The PSAT is a standardized test overseen by the College Board, which is the same company that oversees the SAT and the AP exams. The PSAT is similar to the SAT, and the P in its name used to refer to the preliminary SAT. Now the test is simply known as the PSAT, and that acronym is actually no longer used officially by the College Board. While the PSAT does provide insight into your possible performance on the SAT, it's much more than just a practice round. The PSAT and the National Merit Scholarship are really the things that you want to focus on when you're looking to motivate yourself to take the PSAT. One reason to take the test seriously is because it's the only qualifying test for the National Merit Scholarship. In fact, it's also known as the National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test, or the NMSQT. Each year, there are approximately 1.6 million high school juniors who take the PSAT. Those students are automatically entered into the National Merit Scholarship Program, and the top 3% of those students, about 50,000 of them, will qualify for some sort of recognition through this program. Most of the recognized students receive letters of commendation. Commended students do not advance in the program. However, they may choose to include that commendation honor on their college application, which is certainly not a bad thing. It isn't a major deal to most admissions committees, but it's a good thing to include if you don't have that many other academic honors to list. It kind of beef up your academic chops on your application. About a third of the high scorers become National Merit Scholars semifinalists. Semifinalists are invited to complete a scholarship application that's more full. It includes grades, your SAT scores, and other important documentation of your academic and leadership skills. That application is pretty similar to a college application, also including an essay and letters of recommendation. Of the approximately 16,000 semifinalists, 15,000 will go on to become finalists. About 7,500 winners will then be selected based on grades, test scores, written recommendations, and the submitted essay. They are $2,500 one-time scholarships that are need blind, but actually those awards are not the only ones that are available. Other scholarships beyond the National Merit Scholarship. There are corporate and college-sponsored scholarships that work through this same system of your PSAT scores. There are currently around 420 independent sponsors of merit scholarships. It's also noteworthy that some schools will automatically grant you full rides and acceptance to honors programs if a high schooler is a National Merit semifinalist. Honestly, it could save your family hundreds of thousands of dollars when it comes to college tuition, so you should probably take the PSAT. The first thing you need to do to prep for the PSAT is to become familiar with the test's format and with its content. The PSAT was redesigned in 2015. It still tests reasoning skills, but keep in mind that with the changes made to the SAT, it now has an increased emphasis on the knowledge and application of these skills that are required in real life. The test is administered over 2 hours and 45 minutes, and it's divided into 3 sections: evidence-based reading, writing, and language, and math. Each section has roughly 45 questions, and a calculator is allowed on most, but not all of the math section. You'll receive 1 score for the evidence-based reading and writing and language sections, and another score for the math section. Those scores will range from 160 to 760. The highest combined score that you can receive on the PSAT is 1520, as opposed to the SAT's 1600. To read more about how the PSAT is scored and how your scores might correlate to the SAT, you can check out the CollegeFind article, Are PSAT Scores Related to SAT Scores? That article is linked in the comments below. The next step in preparing for the SAT is just going ahead and taking a practice test. Your first practice test is referred to as a formative assessment. So let's talk a little bit about what formative assessment means. It sounds superficial, but basically it's just a baseline for your studying and prep work. Formative assessments are rooted in the idea that's held as kind of a standard in teaching that you cannot learn something in a focused, concentrated way without having a realistic idea of where you're starting from. Teachers use formative assessments at the beginning of a class or at the beginning of a new unit to help guide their instruction, but you can use them at the beginning of your own studying as the most effective way to understand where you're at and where you need to go to prepare for the PSAT. For your formative assessment, you can either use an official practice test from the College Board or a test from a SAT prep book. You'll then need to follow the scoring guidelines to create your own score report from that practice test. So after you've taken the test, you've scored it, you've come up with your right and wrong answers, you want to review those scores to help you find patterns in your errors. For example, you want to look for the errors that all fall into the same content area, or patterns in which your mistakes take place. You want to classify your mistakes according to the type of error that you made. So it could be something like specific content area knowledge, like identifying the writer's purpose, or it could be something like the question type, like interpreting informational graphics. Also keep in mind that mistakes clustered at the end of the test can be evidence of a pacing error when you became rushed as the time that ran down, or mistakes at the beginning of the test could be the result of test anxiety. Identifying patterns in your mistakes, whatever those patterns are, will give you a clear path towards which areas are in need of the most improvement, and that allows you to better target your studying. Strategy 1 is to brush up on skills. If you missed questions because you didn't know a particular academic concept, you'll need to learn that concept and practice it. But those are the only skills you need to work on. If you found yourself rushing or second-guessing yourself through the course of the exam, you'll need to develop some effective strategies to overcome that. There are tons of different prep options available to today's high school students. You can study on your own using books, you can use online programs and apps, or you can seek out group study options or formal prep classes, which are offered through a variety of companies. You might also choose to make use of individual tutoring programs, whether those are in person or using innovative online methods. We recommend downloading the College Board's Daily Question app to help you study. Even though that app is specifically designed for SAT prep, reviewing the daily question on a regular basis is going to get you used to the same format of questions that you'll see on the PSAT, because once again, the College Board is the provider of both. You should also consider joining an online forum like the Khan Academy. Another strategy is to keep taking practice tests. So success on standardized tests like the PSAT isn't just about knowing the material. It's also about being comfortable with the testing experience and the format, including time constraints, pacing, the physical form of the test materials. The best way to prepare for these aspects of the PSAT is to just take practice tests and then take them again. Since practice tests don't count, you can of course take as many as you want, pending the availability of practice tests online and in books. And you can take them as early as often as you want to take them. Regularly spaced practice tests throughout the PSAT prep process can help you track your improvement and identify areas that need more work throughout the course of your prep. For added realism, when you take a test, you can enlist a parent or a friend to act as a proctor. They can keep track of timing, they can enforce all of the testing rules, and otherwise make sure that your practice test truly prepares you for the real testing experience, so that when you sit down on the day of, you feel like you've already been there many times. While the PSAT isn't a necessity for college admissions, it's still a valuable tool that you can leverage to win scholarships and valuable recognition that can boost your applications. Plus, the PSAT is great exposure to SAT-style testing and lends you important test-taking experience that might be helpful when it comes time for those scores that really count. For more help preparing for the PSAT, check out our series of PSAT tips and guides on our blog, which is available at blog.collegevine.com. Or for more personalized help, call today and subscribe to our email list online. Best of luck with your PSAT.